now. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm writing to refer Miss Brown, whose signs and symptoms are suggestive of polycystic ovary syndrome for further management and evaluation. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Pretty straightforward there. Initially, Miss Brown presented at the clinic complaining of oligomenorrhea and dysmenorrhea, which occurred following her parents' divorce in 2002. Her medical history is unremarkable, apart from bronchial asthma. Moreover, her examination was normal. Well, if everything's normal and unremarkable, why mention it? Thus, I reassured her and prescribed Diane 55, I don't know what this is, along with an analgesia. 1 year later, 1 year later. Okay, but now I haven't read the case notes for this, not recently, but is there any connection between this first visit 1 year ago and her returning now? Okay, Miss Brown came back with came back with deep inflamed acne. Therefore, I commenced did you not? Right, so let's have a look at this, right. So, so without any kind of testing, without any kind of examination, you simply commenced her on antibiotics. Is that right? So, something here, nothing to do with what she is complaining about. Now, she came back, acne, antibiotics. Okay. Today, Miss Brown reported that she had failed to conceive despite stopping OCP. I will spell out the abbreviations. Since January 2013. Furthermore, she was complaining, well, you don't complain from, you complain about, or you complain of. Menorrhea, depression, I suppose. How to spell this? Depression. And weight gain. During examination, she was observed to be an overweight. How can be overweight? It's not a noun, it's an adjective. She was observed to be overweight. What? You mean you could see that she was a fatty? In other words, she was observed. Why is that passive? Sorry. Why is that sentence, why is it passive? She was observed. Presumably observed by you. So why is that passive? Now, someone was asking me yesterday, I think it was, about use of passive. And they said, oh, OET says we should use passive. Yes, yes, yes. And I said, well, yes, but only when appropriate. And as I showed, in the group, the criteria, etc., calls for you to use a mixture of structure. That's what you have to use, a mixture, so active and passive, but only when it's appropriate. So she was observed to be overweight with a BMI and hirsutism. It is worth mentioning. Why is it worth mentioning? Simply say and. Additionally, it's worth mentioning her investigations. She didn't investigate test results. She did not investigate, showed a decrease, because it's a noun, a decrease and increase. So we need an article. In SHBG, again, I will spell out your abbreviations. Vitamin D, as well as the oral GGT, again, spell it out. Put a comma after that, because this is a fresh clause. In addition, the free androgen index and prolactin were elevated. Consequently, Kleeman was initiated? You mean you prescribed? And referral and a referral, because it's a noun, was arranged as Miss Brown requested. Please note the copy of Miss Brown's should be a capital, and it's possessive, so it needs to be a genitive case. Miss Brown's investigation and pelvic ultrasound were attached. Were? You mean they are? They are attached now? Why did you make that past? Should you have any queries, please not hesitate to contact me. Well, this is not very clear. We've got this here. Okay, I'm not sure how useful that is. Then she came back with acne. Then we've got all this other stuff. So in terms of how clear this actually is and why all this information is included, I don't really know. If it's polycystic ovary syndrome, that is something else. So you need to be very careful about what information you include and what you exclude in terms of this. So let's take a look at this next one then. But in terms of grammar, right, watch your articles and prepositions. A decrease and increase of instead of from, etc. Okay. What do we have here? Miss Hall, right. How is this relevant or pertinent? She's a secondary school teacher, and that's going to inform my treatment of her exactly how. Okay. And my favorite sentence yet again. Have you noticed E2 examples and swoosh don't have this? And there's a reason why. It's an empty sentence. It doesn't mean anything. Don't use it to refer. So, as I was talking about in the video yesterday and the day before, purpose for new criteria beginning in August. What do you want the reader to do? Exactly. What's the reason? I'm writing this letter to request your further assessment and management of Miss Hall. Purpose. That's what you want. So, Miss Hall is divorced and has 2 children, and stopped smoking. Okay, that is pertinent. Okay, however, she likes a drink. Okay, but divorced and has 2 children. She's a school teacher. I'm not sure how that's going to affect how I treat her a GRD. Regarding her medical family history, she was diagnosed. Why is that capitalized? She was diagnosed with dyspepsia in 2004. She was treated by all. Why do we have all these short sentences here? Sorry, a bit of a cough. So, right, we've got one short sentence. Sentence with 2 clauses. Okay, that's what's right. Then you've got another short sentence, another short sentence, another short sentence. You're supposed to be using a mixture of sentences. So you can have some, yeah, true, but when you can join things into a single sentence, then what's the point? She was diagnosed with dyspepsia in 2004 and was treated with oral and topical steroids, blah, 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 blah. You see? Make that into a single sentence. And where does this come from? Her father is known to be having peptic ulcer disease. So why is that dropped in the middle of her? You know, it's like, right, your paragraphs, you need to have an order, a structure, you know, group like-minded information. So first you say she's divorced and she's got kids and she stopped smoking, okay, or drinking. So that should be under social history. Yeah, so you could put, regarding her social medical history, she's an ex-smoker. However, she does drink occasionally. then continue with her. She was diagnosed, blah, blah, blah. She is currently on no regular, blah, blah, blah. Please note her father, or, like, please note she has a family history, blah, 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 and put that at the end. Because mixing it up, the way that you've done here, it doesn't have any kind of logic. Sorry. Sorry. It doesn't have any logic in the paragraph because it's jumping back and forth. Okay. She's currently on the regular medications. Please note that Miss Saw's allergic to just sulfur oxide. Why do we have to note this? Okay. Today's visit, why is that a capital? She presented complaining of, not from, difficulty in swallowing solid foods or with epigastric pain that radiates or radiated, because she presented radiated, so I'm going to make that past tense to match parallel structure. Her symptoms start to appear 2 weeks ago. After she had an upper respiratory tract infection, which took a herbal Chinese product on contents. If the patient also was increased to coffee consumption, she would put, where is this from? She reported no sensation of lumps. And what's that supposed to mean? It's just dropped in casually out of nowhere. Okay. Given this history, Miss Holmes for expert valuation measurements, especially if a condition doesn't improve. Any queries on the condition, please don't hesitate to contact me. Okay. So we've got some irrelevancies here. There's some information here that we don't actually need. So we don't need to know that she's a teacher. This sentence is a cliche, a memorized. I wouldn't use it. Divorced and got 2 kids. We don't need to know that really. Some of this is pertinent, but the way that it's mixed up, it doesn't have a logic. Have it all about her, and then if there's something else, it can come after instead of jumping about this and that and this and that. Okay. Let's move on. Mr. Knowles. You see, now I'm writing to, right now, we don't need that. I'm writing to request your. Now, you could either have your pronoun or article, but you don't need both. I'm writing to request your urgent assessment or an urgent assessment or the urgent assessment of Mr. Knowles, whose features are suggestive of pancreatic malignancy. Mr. Knowles is married and has 3 children. And we need to know this because social drinker, and he stopped smoking. If we know when, you don't use present perfect. And he stopped smoking 10 years ago. Or he has stopped smoking for, no. I would simply do it, he stopped smoking 10 years ago. Let's change this. Okay. Began his medical history, he underwent, now, this is a particular operation, so it's countable, so you can put an article, like an endoscopy, a biopsy, etc. It's countable. And has had depression for 4 years, which she has been commenced on fluoxetine, if that's how you say it. Okay. Mr. Knowles came complaining of heartburn, indigestion, which was treated, don't forget your verbs, over-counter medication, but there was not effective anymore. What does that mean? So he came complaining of heartburn and indigestion, which he used to treat with OTC. However, that OTC is no longer effective. That's how you want to phrase that sentence. Okay. He was concerned about having a hernia because it's countable. However, his examination was unremarkable apart from his weight, which was 94 what? Presumably, it's kilograms, or is it ounces? Therefore, on a personal was prescribed, the following review was scheduled. Okay, okay. You've made it passive, but as long as it's not all passive, that will be fine. On today's visit, his condition, well, if it's today's visit, you can use present perfect, connecting past and present. Has not improved. In addition, he complained of a back pain, a diarrhea, pale stool. Is that supposed to be pale stool? I'm not sure. Abdominal pain and fatigue. On the examination, he had tenderness on his, well, is it on or is it in? You know, I would probably say in. Tenderness in his abdomen along with swollen and yellowish discoloration of the skin and his eyes. His blood test results will increase, blah, 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 blah. Please note that I am discussed with him. I discussed with him the examination findings and blood test results. Based on the above, I would be grateful if you evaluate his condition, blah, 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 blah. Okay, okay. Watch your grammar. There's a couple of simple mistakes there that would not serve you well. Okay, watch your verbs. Be, you know, am, is, was, were. Be. That's what you have to have a look at. You've done it 3 times. Okay, on to the next one. Urgently, I'm writing to urgently refer Mr. Mustafawi. Now, first thing, you don't need this period, right? Everybody will tell you, look at swoosh and E2, you don't put a period after Mr., Mrs. or Ms. Only if it's Admiral or Captain, etc. 56-year-old man, well, right. I can count and I can read. So we don't need this. Don't need it. Who has a liver? Now, why do we have 3 sentences here? I'm writing to urgently refer Mr. Mustafawi, who has a liver abscess. This diagnosis was confirmed by ultrasound. Now, the purpose of the letter, I want to know what you want me to do. So you don't really need this in the introduction. You don't. And my favorite sentence, well, almost, it's intervention instead of assessment, but highly appreciated. Well, I'm sure that Mr. Mustafawi would indeed highly appreciate my further intervention, but, you know, what about you? He's not, you know, he's not lending you money, so why would it be highly appreciated? Don't use this cliche sentence. As you've seen, look, we've got this last, what's the other one? Yeah, well, here. It's a memorized sentence, a cliche sentence. Don't use it. It doesn't mean anything. Regarding his medical history, Mr. Mustafawi is a heavy smoker, drinks alcohol. He has neither allergies, if it's an abstract noun, make it plural, nor takes, third person S verb, any regular medications. Mr. Mustafawi, don't need that. First presented to our hospital 2 days ago with complex generalized weakness, nothing change. He has perceived. Why is it present perfect? He perceived, you mean he noticed? Sorry. Perception and notice are not the same thing. He noticed his changes after he returned from a holiday in the Philippines. Now, just for your general information, if it's a country name, such as Italy, Germany, China, etc., India, you don't use an article. If it's something like a collection of states or kingdoms or islands, the United Kingdom, the United States, the Philippines, then you need a definite article. He used to. Why would he used to? He used to mean something that we did in the past that we no longer do. So simply, he didn't used to limit. He limited, make it past participle. He limited his smoking and alcohol drinking, believing that these could be the cause of his appetite change. We examined him. Well, I hope you did do it properly and not just, yeah, let's just examine it improperly. So we examined him. You don't really need that. And detected tenderness on his right hypochondrium. We advised him to limit his fats, or the intake of fats and protein. But we advised him to limit certain intake, but to plus infinitive, but to increase the carbohydrate intake, or the amount, or his amount of carbohydrates. Okay. Short sentence, we requested some blood tests besides urine stool samples. Only vitamins were prescribed and to be reviewed. What, the vitamins were to be reviewed, or he was to be reviewed? Because how this sentence reads, the vitamins were to be reviewed. I'm sure that's not what you meant. So make sure that you are clear. We requested some blood tests besides urine stool analysis. Okay. Our provisional diagnosis, either provisional disease on mood swings, smoking, alcohol withdrawal. Today's review, Mr. Mustafawi came with deteriorated condition. He had fever, rigors, and jaundice. Investigation. Short sentences again. You can join this up. Deteriorated condition, just make it like a comma, you know. He had fever, rigors, jaundice. Investigation showed blah, 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 blah. Therefore, antibiotics and IV fluids were started. Therefore, well, there's no therefore. Subsequently, because it came afterwards, the flying service was immediately ordered for the flying service provides an ultrasound? I thought they were to fly people to different parts of Australia, even evacuation. In view of the above, ultrasound gated drainage, blah, blah, blah. Now, I think I remember from the case notes that you ordered the flying doctor service to immediately take him to where the reader of this letter works. So you should have said that, because that seems like the flying service provides an ultrasound. Well, they don't. They provide a moving service, an ambulance in effect. So that doesn't work either. So a bit of grammar here. A few things to have a look at. Okay, let's see. This one's yours. Mr. Jingzhu 72, request your further management of Mr. Zhu's clinical features are suggestive of worsening ischemic heart disease. That's good. Regarding his medical history, Mr. Zhu had acute myocardial infarction and congestive heart failure, heart disease. Due to the conditions, he has been taking medications accordingly. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. He's been taking medication. I'm not sure what this sentence is supposed to actually add. You know, due to these conditions, he's been taking some medicine because he's not very well. Well, yes, true. So I would have maybe phrased that a slightly different way. Initially, on the first blah, blah, Mr. Zhu present to watch your typos here. Mr. Zhu presented complaining with exertional chest pain with either thick angina or postural dizziness. Right, now, why do you have a symptom interrupted by a medication with a symptom? Shouldn't the two symptoms be together and then put your medication? That would make more sense, I think. So these, yeah. So I would, for instance, chest pain, pressure, dizziness. Yeah, that makes more sense. So you've got, because here you've got symptom, medication, and symptom. You know, put your symptoms. So he had this and this and this, which was relieved by blah, blah, blah. Upon examination, he had a slight ankle edema. Now, you can put an article here. It depends if it's one, singular. because it says ankle, not ankles. So I'm not quite sure here how that works. It could be a slight ankle, because ankle is singular. We can count it. Or if you mean ankle as in both ankles, then you wouldn't put an article. So I'm not sure. Therefore, stable CCF and... No, I am. It is. It's recording. Samir, it is. It's recording. Which, well, it says it is. Yeah. It says here, pause recording, stop. Yeah, it is. It is recording. So I will, of course, put it on YouTube and put the link in the group. I thought you meant I'd forgotten to press the record button, but no, I did. Okay, anyway, therefore, stable season in the general suspected condition was advised. Who did you advise to closely monitor his condition? That doesn't make sense. Was advised. Who did you advise? No? So that doesn't make sense either. Okay, on the subsequent visit, Mr. Zhu reported he had used 4 pillows to increase shortness of breath. For his increased shortness of breath, you mean he had to use 4 pillows to prop himself up to relieve his shortness of breath, which is not quite the same thing as that sentence actually says. So be careful there. Examination. An examination, his examination, revealed. Elevated JVP along with middle zone computation, which shifted up to his knee. Don't need was. At that time, I diagnosed with CCF. Spell out your abbreviations due to an unknown cause and prescribed him. Blah, 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 blah. Today's review, Suzu's condition slightly improved. Okay, that's not bad for the rest of it. You've just got to watch it. Be careful how you. So that sentence there, as I said, it's like you had a symptom and a medication. The screen is not visible. Can everybody else see the screen? Hope says she can't see the screen. Can everybody else see the screen? Somebody let me know. Yeah. So it must be, it's just you then, Hope. I don't know. Everybody else can see it, so I don't know what you've done. I've got the screen share on, because look, it says like stop share. So the screen share's on, recording's on, everybody can see it. So you might have some issues with your settings, perhaps. Anyway, 10 minutes left. Let's get on. So that's not bad. So just watch this. So you had a symptom, remedy, and a symptom. That doesn't make sense. You've got symptoms for which I did blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then that sentence, again, you need to use 4 pillows to relieve his, not for his increased short, because it seems like he wanted to increase his shortness of breath, so he used 4 pillows to increase it, but that's obviously not the case. So we've got 2 letters left. I should be able to get these done, 10 minutes. Okay. Mr. Michael Weir, thank you for seeing Mr. Weir, don't need that period, who presented with and the symptoms suggestion of, oh, dear. Have you seen this sentence before, anybody? Do you think it's good for you, everybody, to copy and use exactly the same meaningless phrase? Maybe, maybe not. So, Mr. Weir, who presented with signs and symptoms. Now, what do you want me to do? Assess him or manage him? What do you want me to do? You want me to give him a full neurological assessment. So you need to tell me this right from the start. E2, swoosh, benchmark, go look at their blogs. They'll tell you the same. You need to put your reason for writing clearly in the opening sentence and use it at the bottom as well. What sentence can be used instead? you don't need it. Simply say, I am writing to request your neurological assessment of Mr. Weir, who presented with signs and symptoms. A single sentence. That's it. You don't have to use this. Greatly appreciated. Why would it be greatly? Why would it not just be appreciated? Why exactly would it be greatly appreciated? And appreciated by whom? By you? By Mr. Weir? It's meaningless. I'm writing to request your urgent neurological assessment of Mr. Weir. Then it's crystal clear. The reader knows, oh, right, this sounds urgent. The reader knows immediately what you want. Okie doke. So let's get on. Mr. Weir's medical social history is a smoker and has been suffering from depression. Okay. Complaining of tiredness, stress. Right. Now, that's not a symptom. That's it's a verb. He was stressed. So tiredness, it's a noun, right? Stressed is a verb form, and sluggish is an adjective. So Mr. Weir came complaining of tiredness, feeling stressed and sluggish. Okay. However, his examinations were unremarkable except for him being overweight. Therefore, CBC, cholesterol and blood tests were ordered and the review visits were scheduled in 1 week. Okay. On the 7th of 7th, Mr. Weir still had persistent of. Mr. Weir still had, you could say persisting, but Mr. Weir still had his previous symptoms. In addition, he also reported weakness or a weakness in the left leg. It depends. CBC, you can put an article. It's not that important, really, blood count, because it's an abstract noun. So you can use it, but you don't. It's not strictly necessary. In addition, I reported that part of his test reports revealed a high level of cholesterol. Whereas means opposite of something else. So his test results with a high level of cholesterol with a low level of WBC, IBC. Again, you need to be a bit careful. All these abbreviations, it's usually good to spell them out. Consequently, the patient was advised to change his life. How many lifestyles does Mr. Weir have? Lifestyle, which included dietary modification, cessation of smoking, and regular exercise. The day's review, Mr. Weir presented with a 2 episode, with 8. How can you have a 2? So presented with 2. Now, how can you present with 2 episodes? He can present complaining of having 2 episodes, but you can't present with 2 episodes. Presented complaining of having, check that spelling, complaining of having 2 episodes of blackout and dizziness. His vital data was normal. However, examination showed, because you can count examination, so you can use an article, showed loss of sensation or a loss of sensation. Now, is it on or in both hands? And diminished reflex. Additionally, I have ordered a CT scan to evaluate the cause. Okay. Mr. Weir has multiple sclerosis, therefore your full neurobiological assessment is needed. Okay. So that's not too bad. Just need to be clear. A couple of points there. Okay, fine. I should just have time for this one. 3 minutes. Right, I have to get a move on. 76-year-old widow. I suppose we could leave that there, because it's this information is pertinent because you want them to arrange visits for her at home. So you would probably put that. If it was simply a medical issue, you probably would not need this information, But because you are specifically requesting that they visit her at home, this information will tell them, the reader, why she can't come into hospital, So in this case, I would leave that there. I would have put this in in the social history, though. I wouldn't have put this in the introduction. I would have, I am writing to request your arrangement of home visits for Miss Sirocco. Please note, Miss Sirocco is a widow, 76, lives with a daughter, and has no blah, 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 You could do it like that. Miss Sirocco's possessive medical history, she has had, because it's not finished, isn't perfect, it's in 2018, for which she takes beta blockers. What's your syntax word order? In 2019, she had a venous ulcer, because you can count that, underwent skin graft surgery, free skin cancellation in her leg. Miss Sirocco presented with a recurrence of a right leg ulcer, which is managed by analgesia. 2 weeks later, she presented with worsening of redness, redness and swelling, and then on examination, the ulcer showed that I prescribed antibiotics in general. It's an abstract noun. I'm speeding up a bit because I've only got a minute left. I want to get this done. I arranged the Woots Woman Doppler ultrasound. Actually, he's dressing in so I think this would it. That's a run-on sentence. That's too long. There's too much there. I did. She needs. I'm writing, and I. That's nearly a run-on sentence. Your anticipated cooperation. Well, of course, they're a medical professional. Of course, they will cooperate. So, my favourite sentence. Right, I'm going to have to go now because this is going to cut out in any second. So I'll be on Telegram for the next few minutes because this is going to finish in less than a minute. So I'll see you down there. If you've got any questions, you can ask me there. Okay.